Why you're always tired even after resting. You went to bed tired and you woke up tired. Not the kind of tired that disappears with a good night of sleep. Not the kind that coffee fixes. This is different. It stays with you. It follows you through the day. It sits quietly in your chest, in your thoughts, in your emotions. And maybe what confuses you the most is this. On the outside, everything seems fine. You're functioning. You're doing what you have to do. You're showing up. But inside, something feels heavy, draining, like you're carrying more than you can explain. There are moments when you stop and ask yourself, why do I feel like this if I'm resting? Why am I still exhausted? And the truth is, what you're feeling is real. It's deeper than physical fatigue. Because there is a kind of tiredness that sleep cannot reach. It comes from a mind that doesn't slow down. From thoughts that keep running even when your body stops. From the pressure of trying to hold everything together. From carrying worries that were never meant to stay on your shoulders this long. Some people are tired because they work too much, but others are tired because they think too much, feel too much, carry too much, and no one sees it. You can be lying in bed, eyes closed, body still, and yet your mind is wide awake, replaying conversations, imagining problems, anticipating things that haven't even happened yet. Your body is resting, but your soul is not. And when the soul doesn't rest, the body can never fully recover. That's why you wake up already drained. That's why even moments of silence don't bring peace. That's why rest feels incomplete. This is not just about sleep. This is about something deeper happening inside you. Something that many people ignore. But once you understand it, everything begins to make sense. There is a kind of tiredness that no one notices. You can smile, talk, go through your day, and still feel completely drained inside. People look at you and think you're fine, because on the outside, nothing seems wrong. But inside, there's a constant pressure that never really goes away. It's the weight of thinking about everything all the time. It's the mental noise that doesn't turn off. The need to solve, fix, anticipate, control. Even when nothing is happening, your mind creates movement. It searches for problems, revisits what already passed, tries to prepare for what hasn't even come. And little by little, this steals your energy. Not in an obvious way, not all at once, but silently. You start your day already feeling behind, already feeling tired, even before doing anything physical. Because your mind has been working long before your body even got up. There are people who are not exhausted from what they do. They are exhausted from what they carry inside, from unspoken fears, from quiet anxieties, from responsibilities they never learned to put down, from trying to be strong all the time. And the hardest part is this. You begin to think this is normal. You get used to living like this. You accept the constant tiredness as part of who you are. You adapt to a life where peace feels distant, where silence feels uncomfortable, where rest never feels complete. But this was never how you were meant to live. Your mind was not created to carry everything. Your heart was not created to hold constant pressure. And your soul was not created to live without rest. That inner exhaustion you feel, it's not random. It's a signal that something inside you has been overloaded for too long. And until that is understood, no amount of physical rest will ever feel enough. What you're feeling is not just tiredness. It's accumulation. It's what happens when your body pauses, but your inner world never does. You lie down, but your thoughts keep moving. You close your eyes, but your mind stays open. You try to rest, but inside, something continues carrying weight that was never released. And over time, this creates a silent exhaustion that most people don't know how to name. Because no one taught you that the soul also needs rest. Not distraction, not temporary relief. Real rest. The kind that happens when what you're carrying inside is finally put down. Many people believe they are resting simply because they stopped moving. But stopping the body is not the same as quieting the soul. You can sit in silence and still feel overwhelmed. You can take a break and still feel pressure. You can sleep for hours and still wake up heavy. Because the problem is not outside of you, it's within what you're holding. There are thoughts you keep revisiting. There are fears you don't release. There are situations you keep trying to control. There are emotional weights you never gave yourself permission to let go of. And without realizing it, you carry all of this into your rest. So your rest becomes crowded. Your mind stays active. Your heart stays tense. Your soul stays overloaded. This is why rest feels incomplete. Because real rest begins when what is inside you is no longer in constant motion, and this is where something deeper starts to become clear. You were never meant to carry life this way. There is a different way to live, a different way to rest, a different way to exist internally without this constant pressure. And once you begin to see it, something shifts inside you. There is a moment in the scriptures where this exact kind of exhaustion is addressed with surprising clarity, not as a theory, not as something distant, but as an invitation. In Mateus capítulo 11, versículos 28 to 30, Jesus says, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls." Notice what he is speaking to. Not just physical tiredness, he is speaking to those who are weary and burdened. People who are carrying something, people who feel the weight, people who are tired in a way that sleep cannot solve. And then he makes a promise that is deeper than most people realize. I will give you rest. Not distraction, not temporary relief. Rest for your soul. This changes everything, because it reveals that the problem is not just how much you're doing, it's what you're carrying while you do it. And it also reveals something else. Rest is not found in stopping everything. Rest is found in coming to the right place with what you're carrying. Most people try to fix their exhaustion by changing their routine, taking breaks, or escaping for a moment. But they never address the weight itself. So they return from rest still carrying the same internal load, and nothing changes. But here, Jesus is not telling you to try harder or manage better. He is inviting you to come, to bring what is heavy, to stop carrying it alone. And then he says something that most people overlook. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me. This is not just about relief, it's about exchange. You don't just drop what you're carrying, you receive a different way of living, a lighter way, a way where your soul is no longer constantly under pressure. This is where real rest begins, not when life becomes easy, but when what you carry inside is no longer overwhelming you. There is a quiet mistake that keeps this cycle going. Most people try to rest without ever releasing what is exhausting them. They lie down with the same worries. They close their eyes holding the same fears. They take breaks, but their mind never lets go of the weight it's been carrying all day. So even in moments of rest, there is tension. Even in silence, there is noise. Even in stillness, there is pressure. Because the problem is not the lack of rest, it's the presence of weight. You can pause your body, but if your thoughts are still gripping everything tightly, your inner world never actually rests. And this happens in very subtle ways. You replay conversations in your head, trying to understand what you should have said. You imagine future scenarios, trying to control what hasn't even happened. You carry responsibilities as if everything depends entirely on you. You try to solve everything before it even unfolds. And without realizing it, you turn your mind into a place that never stops working, even when you're supposed to be resting. This is why your energy feels constantly drained, because you are not only living your present, you are also carrying your past and trying to control your future at the same time. And that weight is too much for anyone to hold. But here is the deeper truth most people miss. You were never designed to sustain that level of internal pressure. The need to control everything, the habit of overthinking everything, the fear of what might go wrong. These are not just thoughts. They are burdens, and when they are not released, they slowly consume your strength. That's why rest feels ineffective. Not because rest doesn't work, but because the weight never leaves. And as long as you try to rest while holding everything tightly, exhaustion will always return. There are weights you've been carrying for so long. They no longer feel like weight. They feel like responsibility. They feel like this is just how life is. But if you look closely, you'll begin to see something different. You've been carrying fears that were never yours to control. You've been holding on to outcomes that were never fully in your hands. You've been trying to sustain everything by your own strength, as if letting go would mean everything falls apart. And this creates a silent pressure inside you, a pressure to always be strong, a pressure to always figure things out, a pressure to never fail, never slow down, never lose control. But that pressure is exactly what's draining you. Because the truth is, you were never meant to carry life alone. There are emotional weights that slowly build up when they are not released. Unspoken worries, hidden insecurities, the fear of not being enough, the fear of losing something important, the fear of the future not turning out the way you hoped. And instead of expressing it, instead of releasing it, you keep it inside. You manage it. You suppress it. You try to stay composed. But inside, it keeps accumulating. And over time, your soul becomes heavy. Not because life is impossible, but because you are holding more than you were designed to hold. This is why that invitation in Mateus capítulo 11 versículos 28-30 is so powerful. It is not just a comforting phrase. It is a correction, a reminder that some of what you're carrying was never meant to stay with you. You don't have to prove your strength by holding everything together. You don't have to carry every outcome, every fear, every uncertainty on your own shoulders. There is a difference between living responsibly and carrying everything internally as if it all depends on you. And the moment you begin to see that difference, something inside you starts to loosen, because you realize that part of your exhaustion is not from life itself. It's from carrying life alone. Letting go sounds simple until you try to do it, because part of you believes that if you release control, things might fall apart. So you hold on tighter. You keep thinking, keep analyzing, keep trying to manage everything internally. Not because you want to suffer, but because you believe this is how you protect your life. But this is where something needs to shift. Letting go is not losing control. It is recognizing what was never yours to control in the first place. When Jesus says, "Come to me," in Mateus capítulo 11 versículos 28-30, he is not asking you to escape your responsibilities. He is inviting you to stop carrying what is crushing your soul. And this becomes real in very practical ways. It begins with honesty. Not the kind of prayer where you try to say the right words, but the kind where you finally admit what's really inside you. You stop pretending you're fine. You stop trying to organize your thoughts before speaking. You simply bring the weight as it is. Confusion, fear, pressure, exhaustion, and you place it down, not once, but as a daily posture. Then comes a second shift. You start allowing uncertainty to exist without trying to solve everything immediately. This is where most people struggle. They want peace, but only after everything is resolved. But real peace begins when you accept that not everything needs to be figured out right now. You begin to breathe again, not because life suddenly became easy, but because you are no longer trying to carry all outcomes at once. And slowly, your mind starts to slow down. Your thoughts lose intensity. Your inner pressure decreases, not because you forced it, but because you stopped feeding it. Letting go is not a single moment. It is a practice, a decision you make again and again, to release what is heavy, to trust beyond what you can see, to stop holding everything so tightly. And in that space, something begins to change inside you. Something begins to happen inside you when you stop carrying everything. Not all at once, not in a dramatic way, but quietly, deeply, consistently. The noise in your mind starts to lose strength. Those thoughts that once felt urgent begin to slow down. The pressure that used to sit on your chest starts to lift. And for the first time in a long time, you notice something different. Space. Space inside your mind. Space inside your emotions. Space inside your soul. This is what real rest feels like. Not the absence of problems, but the absence of internal overload. Because your circumstances may still be the same. There may still be uncertainties. There may still be things unresolved, but inside you are no longer carrying them the same way, and that changes everything. You begin to move through your day with a different rhythm. You think, but you don't spiral. You feel, but you don't drown in it. You face situations, but they don't consume your inner world. There is a quiet strength that starts to grow, a grounded calm that doesn't depend on everything going right. This is the rest that Jesus was speaking about, not a temporary pause, but a deep internal steadiness, a peace that holds you even when life feels uncertain. And this kind of rest is not something you force. It is something that emerges when the weight is no longer sitting on your soul. You begin to wake up differently, not because you slept more hours, but because you are no longer carrying the same internal burden. And slowly, you realize something that once felt impossible. You can live without that constant exhaustion. You can exist without that mental pressure. You can move through life without feeling drained all the time. Not because everything changed around you, but because something changed within you. Right now, without changing anything around you, you can begin to experience this, not by trying harder, not by forcing your mind to be quiet, but by allowing yourself to stop holding everything for a moment. Take a breath and be honest with what's inside you. There are things you've been carrying that you haven't said out loud, worries you keep revisiting, fears you keep managing silently, pressures you've learned to live with. You don't need to organize it. You don't need to fix it first. Just acknowledge it. This is where it begins. You can say it simply, in your own words. God, I'm tired of carrying this. Not a perfect prayer, a real one. Because real rest starts where honesty begins, and as you bring that weight into the open, something shifts. You stop fighting it alone. You stop pretending you have control over everything. You allow yourself to release, even if just a little. And that little matters more than you think. Because the moment you stop holding everything so tightly, your mind starts to breathe. Your thoughts begin to slow. Your body responds. Your soul softens. You don't have to wait for the perfect moment. You don't have to understand everything first. You can start right where you are, in the middle of your thoughts, in the middle of your tiredness, in the middle of everything you don't have answers for. And as you do this again and again, something becomes clear. You were never meant to live under constant pressure. You were never meant to carry everything alone. And the more you release, the more you experience something you've been missing for a long time. Peace. Not because everything is resolved, but because you are no longer holding everything inside. You don't have to keep living like this constant exhaustion, this mental weight, this feeling of being drained even when you rest. It may feel normal now, but it was never meant to be your normal. There is a reason you feel this way, and there is also a way out. Not by doing more, not by trying harder, but by no longer carrying what is breaking you inside. The tiredness you feel is not a failure. It's a signal that something in your life needs to be released, not managed. A signal that your soul has been holding too much for too long. And now you've seen what most people overlook. Rest is not just about stopping. It's about letting go. It's about bringing what is heavy to the right place, instead of trying to carry it alone. In Mateus capítulo 11, versículos 28 a 30, the invitation still stands. Not for a specific moment, not for a specific type of person, but for anyone who is weary, anyone who feels burdened, anyone who is tired in a way that sleep cannot fix. You don't have to wait until everything in your life is resolved. You don't have to fix yourself before coming. You can come as you are, tired, overwhelmed, full of thoughts, carrying things you don't even know how to explain. And in that place, something begins. Not instant perfection, but real rest. A rest that starts inside you and begins to change the way you live, the way you think, the way you carry life. You don't have to continue waking up exhausted. You don't have to keep living under this pressure. There is a different way to live, and now you know where it begins.